the point is these sorts of Westminster bubble process stories, boys getting carried away, these are things that distract from our ability to get across the message of the change we're making, the difference we're making on things that voters actually care about.
There's a few specific allegations about you that have been put out in the last 24 hours. I want to put them to you directly. Firstly, there's the Times. Downing Street figures suspect that Streeting could demand the Prime Minister's resignation in the days after the budget. Are you going to rule that out?
Yes, and nor did I shoot JFK. I don't know where Lord Lucan is. Had nothing to do with Shergar. And I do think that the US did manage to do the moon landings. I don't think they were faked, certainly not by me.
What about after the local elections next year? Is that a point when, if you do badly, if you lose in Wales, that it could be time for a change at the top?
Well, I'm not planning for us to do badly. In Scotland, we've got a dynamic leader.
Can you rule it out? Can you rule it out demanding the Prime Minister's resignation?
I'm not going in to demand the Prime Minister's resignation. I support the Prime Minister. I have done since he was elected leader of the Labour Party. I didn't vote for him in the leadership election, but I did support him from the moment he was elected, and I supported him all the way through at points when he did things that no one thought was possible. They didn't think he could turn around the Labour Party. He did. They didn't think he could win a general election. He did. People are now questioning whether he can change the country. He will.
Can I tell you what I think? I think that this was all briefed overnight, specifically so that you could say those things today on the morning round, right? Everyone knows that you're doing the morning round, you're taking questions from people like me. They're worried about the budget, they know how bad it's going to be, but they know that in all likelihood it looks like the manifesto is going to be broken. They want a public declaration of loyalty from the person who is seen as the most likely person to succeed the Prime Minister.
Well, I suppose the tragedy is everything I've just said about Keir's record, about confounding his critics, are things that I have said regularly and repeatedly whenever I've been asked questions about how he's doing or how the government's doing.
So you haven't had
the only thing that this has achieved is distracting me from talking about the fact that when the Prime Minister and I announced we were going to abolish NHS England, reduce the size of my department, the NHS, by 50%,
you will talk about
and cut through layers of management bureaucracy, lots of people said, well, this isn't going to happen. Today I'm setting out how we're going to do that. But, of course, we're going to spend most of the time, and I'm grateful you are actually going to come on to what I came on to talk about, but we will now spend more time on what is a totally irrelevant and untrue process story, but also a self-defeating one because it's come from Downing Street.
Have you had any conversations with anyone about getting rid of Keir Starmer?
No, and I tell you what I think this does show is that when Lucy Powell stood to be deputy leader of the Labour Party and said there needed to be a culture change in how we lead and how the party is managed, I think she has been vindicated.
Is it rotten? Do you think there's a rotten culture?
No, I wouldn't go that. No, and I'm not going to give whoever's behind this any more kind of oxygen and credit. I do think that going out and calling your Labour MPs feral is not very helpful. I do think that trying to kneecap one of your own team when they are out, not just making the case for the government, but actually delivering the change that we promised, I think that is also self-defeating and self-destructive behaviour. I also think whoever did this doesn't speak for the Prime Minister. I speak for the Prime Minister. That's why I was asked to come on this morning to talk about the reform agenda in the NHS. It's why I was with the Prime Minister on Monday evening with a small group of colleagues looking seriously at how we meet our ambitious goal of halving violence against women and girls in this country. Those are the things the Prime Minister's focused on. I think he will be horrified reading the front pages this morning. I don't think this is how he conducts himself, and I think people should follow the example set by their boss.